Hey, this is me building a $3 million a year business in public. The way these videos go is we start with some QA, then we do some growth stats, then we round it out with some live strategy. I'm quick today because I just recorded 5 minutes of this video, and then I realized that the mic wasn't on. This is what it is when you are moving and dealing with new input methods. This is the main channel. This is the daily updates channel. Scrolling all the way down to the bottom. First question from Shark Swayze was about the water bottle prop. He is calling me a robot. Beep boop. The question I was in the middle answering was Maxime's. He says, "Hey Nick, I don't know what filters and keywords to use to find SaaS companies on Apollo. Love your content, by the way." So the secret is you just type in the word founder and the job titles, and then the industry and keywords is computer software. And then you run a test where you basically just get 10 leads, and then you say, out of these 10 leads, how many of these are actually okay? So in my case, I just literally pumped in these two terms, founder, computer software, and then I toggled the setting that it says include people with similar titles. And for the most part, this is actually okay. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. Don't worry too much about it. My recommendation for you is just scrape like the minimum viable lead source and then give that a try. And then if that works, then you don't need to go any deeper. And then if it doesn't work, then you kind of do. Bushido Graphics says, "Yo, you're doing really well and crushing it really heavily to the mindset of putting off fun things later. I have the joy of accomplishing what I set out to do. My challenge for you is to turn off that version of yourself completely, to let your mind, body, and soul rest and recharge. You'll come back to creation with a new, fresh perspective that we need you to help us with. Have fun, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been good so far. Could you do XP Pen Excalidraw tutorial setup?" Says Cool Boy. I don't really think that's worth it, and I don't have the Excalidraw XP Pen thing with me. But trust me when I say it's simple. They will send you the tablet with the cable. You take the cable and then you hook it up to your computer, USB. If there is a driver to download on Windows, it will do so. On Mac, it will do so as well, although it was a little bit longer. I think I waited like 20 minutes or something for some reason. Then you grab your mouse, your pen, and when you put the pen on the thing, it'll like move your screen around. Then Excalidraw is just an app where you don't even need a thing to draw on it. Like I'm just using my mouse here. And yeah, you just use your pen as your mouse, basically. Streepy says, "I know some of the comments left nowhere to be found in the video. Some have likes, some don't. So I'm very confused." Interesting. Yeah, I know that there was some issue where a lot of these are, like, this isn't actually the most effective way for me to scroll. I know that YouTube does some, like, auto hold thing. It's not really sure what's going on here. Let's see if they're hold. Hidden Codex of Wealth. So these are people trying to spam a book. Oh my God. Jesus. Okay. Well, that's actually a lot more people than I thought. Not seeing you here. Okay, yeah, honestly, I'm not really sure what's going on there. I'm not seeing anybody else here, but I know there's like some bug that's going on right now where I'm not seeing them all. So apologies on that, Streepy. But yeah, maybe if if your question disappears or whatever and I haven't answered it, ask it again. And then if I've already answered it, I'm going to see that in the thread, and then I'm not going to answer it. And I'll just say that I answered it like a few videos ago. So you could just do that until you see him. Make a video on how to bootstrap with 20 G's, says Dinkelberg. Is it really bootstrapping if you have $20,000, man? I don't think so. That's not what bootstrapping means to me. Bootstrapping means to me is that you are pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, right? So what you're asking is just make a video on how to start a business with $20,000. You know, it's funny though. I think the people that start businesses with $0 do better than the ones that start businesses with $20,000, given in a certain amount of time. Like obviously that falls off, but like 20K is enough for you to like waste pretty quickly, I would say. If you're not focused. Whereas if you are starting with like $1,000, I feel like you're going to be a lot more particular about the decisions that you make, and then you'll probably focus on like the scalable-est thing right off the bat. Don't get me wrong, you'll definitely make some trade-offs, and obviously more resources are better to have than fewer resources, but yeah, that's interesting, huh? How do you deal with no-shows, Nick? Says Sinatra Foreign. I've tried reminding them 6 hours early and an hour early, but even when they say yes, sometimes they don't show up. Oh, well, to be clear, some people just aren't going to show up. Like, show-up rates are like 75% or something max. Like you're always going to have a quarter of the people that just don't. That's one of the reasons why I tried pivoting away from cold outbound into inbound, because I found that like more qualified people that had already sold themselves on my character were more likely to show up. And I just didn't have to waste my time, which was nice. That and also just the inherent skepticism of outbound leads. But yeah, you can't deal with it entirely. So after they don't show up, and this is pretty good, 6 hours early and an hour early, do 24 hours early as well. Okay. Always do like at least a day earlier, and then do like at least one on the day. But how do I deal with them? I just send them over a message being like, "Hey man, was really looking forward to seeing you on the call, but you know, I saw that you didn't show up. Do you still want to do this?" So just something super simple and easy. You'll probably be able to reclaim 50% of those people. But yeah, man, some people just get busy. Some people don't see their calendar. Some people are just afraid to say no to you. There's a lot of reasons why. Mark Shemansky says, buddy's dominating the school games. Thank you. Our pod is live now. Keep crushing it, my bro. Cool. I was invited onto Mark's page. This handsome fella. A couple months ago, I think. It looks like he just recorded a video. And he published it. Well, it doesn't look like. He sent it to me over text, I'm pretty sure, and I saw it. But yeah, check that out if you guys haven't already. And if you guys like that sort of stuff, thank you very much, Mark. It's a pleasure meeting you. Rosiro says, how do your calls go? Like, what's the structure from after a call's booked to when you're on the call with the person? What do I ask? What info should I receive? Should there be multiple calls? Thanks, Nick. Great questions. Should is a loaded term. Like, I think you can run this business model in a couple of different ways. The way that I run mine is I just do one call. It's like a split discovery / pitch call. Let me show you what the actual roadmap looks like, though, like what the actual business structure is. This is an asset that I developed a while ago, and man, are there a lot of people on this thing, Jesus. But this is what the customer journey usually looks like, okay? Up here at the top, you have your lead gen funnels. So you have referrals, communities, cold email, platform sales, Upwork, Fiverr, LinkedIn outreach, inbound social, okay? These are like all of the ways that you can get clients. There are a few more, but I also made this resource, like 8 months ago. These all funnel into one thing, and usually it's a meeting. It's very difficult to scale an agency business model without some sort of meeting, I have to say. I've tried on multiple ways to do this, and without a meeting, it's just very tough. Because, it's high ticket, right? People expect to like talk to a person, have some sort of white glove service. Anyway, if they show, the sales meeting occurs. And usually, if they want to move forward, that you'll know by the end of the call. And what I do is I say something like, hey, in that case, I'm going to send you over a proposal that scopes this extraordinarily concretely. I'm going to give you everything you need, maybe even like a workflow diagram if you're open, to show you what the potential project might look like. It's going to have the costs, it's going to have everything, and then I'm going to record a video walking you through it as well. Okay, and I'll have that on your desk in an hour. And if they like it, right, then they sign and pay, and then you start off the kickoff call. So this is one sales meeting in my case, but there are actually a couple of different structures that you could do here. Like some people do a split discovery call and then a closing call. On the discovery call, they will scope out what it is that the customer needs. Then they'll go back and then they'll think, okay, like how can I build out a system that accomplishes those needs? Then on the closing call, they'll do a little bit more of that sales mumbo jumbo, and then they'll say, this is the solution that we've come up with. If you want it, it's this much money. How are we feeling? And then if they say yes, then you get the paperwork signed, and you can either do that on the call or you can do that immediately after the call. I don't recommend waiting very long. And this is a lot of the time what you have to do for like higher ticket enterprise deals, just because there are more stakeholders, there are more steps, there are more approvals, and so on and so forth. There's also like the one call close where you just say, hey, what's your problem? Okay, great. Well, here's the solution, and here's how much money it is, and do you want to do it? And if they say no, then you're like, why? And you try and hard sell the shit out of them. And then if they are game, then you actually like sell them directly on the call. Okay, great. Well, wait right there. I'm going to send you over an invoice so that you could sign up before the end of the call. Then I can just dive right into a kickoff with you. I find that a little too hard salesy personally. So I don't know if I'd actually recommend that for most people here. And I think that one of the main points of value here as well in the discovery call approach is that it really just takes a lot of pressure off the call and takes pressure off of you as like a person that doesn't really understand the sales process as well. In terms of what to actually say on it, this is just a simple skeleton that you can follow that I used for quite a while. And I don't like have this open anymore on a call, but I still follow most of the same steps. There's some sort of rapport step, some sort of set the schedule step. Then there's a big why me, why now, why this. So why did you decide to book? You didn't have to, and you get like 5 million messages a day, probably selling you similar stuff. So what made you respond to mine? Then what are your goals? Have you ever tried anything to get to that goal before? And why now? Then ask them about the customer journey from start to end of fulfillment. So like, when a customer gets in your business, like where are they coming from? Are they coming from referrals? Are they coming from like Facebook ads? Like what's the very first contact or touch point? Then you just work that all the way down to the bottom until like the last touch point. Then if you can find out the revenue per employee or cost per employee, then that's valuable. And then if you can find out the sales history too, that's good. And then obviously find out how much a single customer is worth for them. And then, yeah, this is the structure. So I don't know, feel free to pause the video or whatever and grab that. Scott says he respects the focus, the priorities. Thank you very much, Scott. Much appreciated. Albert says, I remember you had a great video where you explained which things should or shouldn't be automated. There was a really helpful mind map in it. Do you remember what video that was? Or maybe you could quickly go over it again. Yeah, for sure. I don't remember which video it was either. I've just certainly created a lot in a short period of time. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly which one this would be, but I can summarize it in a nutshell. I wouldn't automate yet events with clients or customers, at least the initial touch points, because that is as close to money as you will ever get. So if there's something that you should not automate, it's probably that. What do I mean? A lot of people want to automate like responding to leads or something. And I get why. And there's some exceptions that make it okay to do, specifically time zones or whatever. But like, you're probably the best person that is the most well suited to handling a question from a prospect about your product or service. And if you give somebody some shitty automated answer that reduces your ability to close them by even like 5%, you've just lost 5% or more of all of the money you will ever make, right? So there are a few things that are very simple no's. And in my case, that's a very simple no. There are also, I think, a lot to be said about like applying human leverage at specific points. So making sure that you, a human being, are present during like these critical and crucial onboarding steps. I think that's important. If you just treat the automation agency as a thing that sells templates, I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table. But if you combine this kind of templated service with like the perception of white glove stuff, then I think that's really where the money is. So I wouldn't automate any of that. And yeah, that's probably 80-20, I would say. And then like, simple procedural stuff, like, I don't know, you could send an onboarding email that's automated as long as it seems as if it's, human written, right? Obviously you could like pre-generate some assets using AI as long as they seem pretty good. Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, Keanu says, love the content you've been posting lately. Thank you. Subscribe to both your channels. Actually, just wondering if you please share what is your story. Would love to get to know the guy behind the cutting edge of AI and automation's expertise. Thanks. Hey, I really appreciate you, man. Check out, I actually wrote a biography all about this. So anybody that's curious and seeing more or less everything from my birth to now, just run through this. It's a little long, I know, but it's probably the simplest and the straightest line way to getting to know me. Give it a go. It details all of my prior business experience and sort of where my family comes from and my views on opportunities and whatnot. But yeah, I am happy to give you guys a more detailed walkthrough. But to be honest, just going to be me reading through that biography. Just Airbase says, this will get viral. Thank you, boss. How do you measure the revenue you can generate to a client to charge 50% of it? What a great question. There are a couple of ways. Probably the simplest way is just identifying what the average order value is on a new deal. So let's say the client is a digital marketer. Let's say it's like a pay-per-click ad firm. So when a pay-per-click ad firm gets a new client, like the client spends usually some sort of media buy budget, and then you usually charge a management fee, which is a percentage of the media buy budget. So I don't know, let's say the media buys $30,000 a month. So they're spending $30,000 a month on ads, and then you'll charge like $10,000 a month in order to manage it. Okay. So like your average order value on a new client is $10,000. Then you kind of work out your average churn. So first of all, let's just pretend this is a sales call here. We'll do a little bit of like role playing. I'd be like, tell me like, what's the average client paying you? And it's like, well, they get on, it's like a $10,000 a month deal. So now you know that like they make $10,000 a month on a new client. But the next logical question is, okay, like, well, how many months do they stay on usually? They're like, it's hard to say. Our average churn right now is once every it's like 3 or 4 months. You're like, okay, so let's do 3 months. Let's be really conservative. So what does that mean? That you make about $30,000 by the end of the time an average client runs through your whole system? Then they're like, yeah, okay, about $30,000. It's like, all right. Then you have that at the back of your mind. You know that that is the value of a client for them. And then basically you just, every other question that you ask, you just determine how that impacts their ability to get clients or keep clients. So if there's some pervasive leak in their pipeline or funnel that reduces their churn from, let's say, something that could be 6 months down to 3 months, right? And you identify during a call where you're like, interesting. So I think, this is probably increasing your churn by like a month or two. So basically what this is doing is per client, this is impacting your bottom line by $10,000 or top line by $10,000 a month. Right. And they'd say, yeah, they'd agree with you. And from there, you could very easily determine that this leak is costing them a certain amount of money. And then you could justify preemptively a service that costs a proportion of that amount of money, between 30 to 50% usually. In terms of revenue generation, I mean, a lot of the companies that I work with, like they just didn't have any sort of outbound lead generation or any sort of marketing system in place. They relied entirely off of referrals. So what I did is I just did a little bit of math ahead of time. And I said, okay, cool. Well, here are results that similar people are seeing in similar niches using systems that I use. Here's what I'm expecting or estimating that you will get. And I'm actually going to guarantee a portion of that. And if I don't deliver that guarantee on the lead generation side of things, then you're not going to have to pay a cent. Then assuming that I do, you're going to make something like an additional $50,000 a month approximately with a system like this at full capacity. That sounds pretty cool, right? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, my cost is $10,000 a month or something. So that's more or less the thought process. All right. Just identify the value of a client, average order, and then multiply by their churn. And yeah. Okay. Shizui Senpai says, hey, just a feedback. Your thumbnails could be better. Well, thank you for the lovely feedback. And then Aditya says, send him a sample of you making it better in his email. Aditya's Shizui responds to Aditya with thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, for sure. Just send me over a thumbnail. Alina says, why do you cite your integrity for Instagram views and follows by showcasing most of the time completely garbage AI tools and over-the-top misinformation about them? Interesting. Well, you're getting a lot of hate from my comments, but I think it's a reasonable question. Unfortunately, I think that's just how like top of funnel works for short form platforms. You do have to be a little bit more clickbaity. I don't really think it's that these tools are completely garbage though. Most of these are just pitched towards people that are in lower cost of living areas that can't afford like to get on like really high cost tools that may be a little bit better or whatever, but that aren't. So like if you guys go on my Instagram right now, the vast majority of it is like, hey, here are some major tools that most people are using. And here's one completely free alternative that does 99% of it. So it's not necessarily that like they're completely garbage. Like I don't think they're completely garbage. I wouldn't recommend something that's completely garbage. But there's some differences between them and like the major tools that you could use. And yeah, when you're doing these short form platforms, you do unfortunately have to be like more clickbaity. That's